Hello everyone, my name is Christian, welcome to my hobby blog. Today we're going to be talking about a very relevant movie. Today is February 14th, that means it's Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day to anybody who celebrates it, and I hope you had a great time with your partners and romantic partners. The movie I'm going to be talking about today is Noah Baumbach's 2019 movie, Marriage Story. This is the Criterion edition, which I absolutely love. This edition, I finally opened it. This first came out a while ago, sometime last year, early last year, maybe even 2 years ago. This is, I believe this was the first partnership between Netflix and Criterion on doing a physical release. This was a major worry for anybody who watches Netflix originally produced Netflix movies. That was our main worry, is like, what happens to these movies if there are no physical media editions for these and they get taken off streaming? Where do these movies go? So it's really nice that they're at least attempting to preserve most of the Netflix releases that are on the streaming platform. But if you don't know about this movie is one of my favorite movies just about marriage and relationships in general. It's about Nicole and Charlie. Nicole is played by Scarlett Johansson. Charlie is played by Adam Driver. Two major actors right now. I mean, Scarlett Johansson's been pretty big for a while now, but both of these actors have been in major Marvel films. Adam Driver was, of course, not, I guess, the main villain of the Star Wars movies, of the sequel trilogy. And then they have a divorce, or at least they're breaking up at the beginning of the movie, and the entire movie is basically them kind of realizing, well, I'm still kind of in that post depression of this movie, where when you finish it, you're just kind of sitting there suffering. It's one of those movies where it is just hard hitting the entire time. But the movie starts off with narration of scenes about both of these characters. First, we get who Adam Driver, his character, is, through a voiceover by Scarlett Johansson. And then we get a very similar thing with Adam Driver narrating what he loves about Nicole, or Scarlett Johansson's character. So they both have a chance to talk about what they love about each other. And we smash to like a marriage counselor session, and they're kind of talking about how they don't want to read the letters that they just narrated. They actually didn't read them in the movie, but in the movie that we are watching, they narrated it. So we know what they wrote, but they don't know what each other wrote about each other. So they discover that marriage counselor just isn't working, so they split off and they go back home, and there's a lot of unsteadiness between them. They have an 8-year-old son who is named Henry, and he's just kind of like in a tug of war, I guess, battle. Or he's kind of the object that's being pulled between his mom and dad. And throughout the movie, from there on, things just keep escalating. Scarlett Johansson gets a lawyer. She gets a lead by a coworker of hers. She's an actress, a pretty big actress in theater. Her husband, Adam Driver, is a theater director and is pretty renowned. But she left California to go live with him and ended up marrying him, and just has been in New York her entire life since they met. And so she's trying to get back to California with her son, enrolls her in school, starts going to acting roles, and she meets a woman there who is part of the writer's room, and she says, hey, I have a lawyer. You should go meet her. She's awesome. She helped me with my divorce. And who else plays this lawyer than the great Laura Dern? I love Laura Dern. She's great in Blue Velvet, I believe. David Lynch's Blue Velvet, Jurassic Park. There's a... She's in a bunch of movies. She's, of course, in the Star Wars movies. So we have a lot of major actors working today while the sequel trilogy was going on. So Red Letter Media actually had a really funny joke about this movie, that Star Wars pays the rent of these actors, and movies like this that nobody watches, and which is like all acting based, that pays for the coffee. And this is very true. But so she meets with Laura Dern, and she's a very tough lawyer who is like, we're going to take everything from him. And Scarlett Johansson's like, I don't want that. I want it to be equal. You know, we don't want to, fuck each other up. We just want to stay friends and make it as easy for our kid as possible. And so she's like, okay, well, we'll see about that. And then Adam Driver meets with this lawyer who is like the meanest guy ever. He's like, how are we gonna slam, Scarlett Johansson? How are we gonna make the courts hate her? And all this stuff. And Adam Driver's like, I don't want to do this. And he meets with another lawyer who's from California, because you gotta have the same lawyers from the same state. And Laura Dern kind of threatens Adam Driver with the phone call because he's not represented yet by a lawyer. And she's like, hey, we're going to take your kid. We're going to take all your money. And that awesome grant that you just won, the MacArthur Award, which is actually a really huge accomplishment. If you're a theater director, it's like hundreds upon thousands of dollars that you get for your production of whatever play or musical that you're doing. And she threatens about taking all that, and he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? She's like, get a lawyer by this Friday. We're taking it all. And Scarlett Johansson has no idea that this happened, but she just kind of plays along and says, oh, but the lawyers, let them deal with it. It won't be bad. It won't be bad. And then he gets a new lawyer after that really awful one, the really jerk one. And it's this like older man who's really like kind and who has been divorced 3 times and is on his 4th marriage. And they see eye to eye with each other, but Adam Driver kind of realizes like, oh, this guy isn't really a good match for Laura Dern's character, because she is very hard-hitting. She's very tough. They keep saying that throughout the movie, how tough she is. One of the best lawyers in California. And he goes back to the jet guy, and they have a really big scene in a courtroom. It's like a 10-minute scene, and shit happens. It's really angering to watch this movie from beginning to end, because you watch everyone outside of this marriage, like, just trying to win no matter what, and not respecting the wishes of Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson's character, Nicole, and I always forget his name. Whatever his name is. Whatever Adam Driver's character's name is. Charlie. I just had to look. But from there on, tensions get really high. This entire movie is what I like to call one of my favorite quote. I guess I wrote it on my Letterboxd. Let me pull that up. My favorite actors acting their hearts out while the camera stands still in the corner. This is that type of movie where our characters are just acting and just going crazy, being awesome, just really acting their hearts out. And one of my favorite scenes, which has been memed to death. I don't think anyone has actually seen this movie. I'm probably the only one. But there's a great meme where it's Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver just beating each other up verbally, not actually beating each other up. And they're saying, oh, I hate you, or I never loved you. And at one point, Adam Driver says, oh, I wish you were dead. If that meant having our son live a successful life, I would pray that a car hits you, and says some really awful shit. And he actually has a panic attack on camera. I don't know if the actor did. Just acting. It just means he's a great actor. That his character was able to exhibit this emotion. And that scene always kind of fucks me up. And everything after that is not as intense. That's probably the most intense that this movie goes. But this entire movie, it's 2 hours and 17 minutes, roughly. And it does not feel that way. It is, sure, there are a lot of one takes or one shots where the camera stays and you just kind of watch the character walk around a room and they're just talking and talking. And Scarlett Johansson just has so many great monologues, and Laura Dern has an awesome monologue about how God is supposed to be this perfect, father, and, this, that, and the other, and he wasn't even there for Jesus' birth, and he wasn't even there for the fucking, as Laura Dern says. And her whole monologue about that is so awesome. I really love that scene. Adam Driver, he's phenomenal. I mean, that scene I talked about, that where he kind of wishes death upon Scarlett Johansson. That scene, I think, I don't know if they won any awards for this. But, it says here that Marriage Story was nominated for 6 Academy Awards. Good. Okay, so this movie got the attention it deserved. I think this is a perfect movie. I have no issues with this movie at all. I love the Criterion packaging. It comes out in a little slipcase. And you see on the first side is Scarlett Johansson. The other is Adam Driver. And it folds out to show Henry the son. And my favorite thing ever, to kind of call back to the letters that I talked about where they're narrating how they feel about each other. They actually included the letters and both of these people's handwriting, of Adam Driver's handwriting and Scarlett Johansson's. And you can see and read the whole letter that they read in the movie. And there are a lot of really great scenes. Well, there's really only 2 scenes that the letter comes into play. But you can see here, this is what Nicole, or Scarlett Johansson's character, wrote. I think this is written by the other person, because the thing they talk about with Adam Driver is how messy he is, and how kind of reliant on his wife he is when it comes to, I guess, just remembering stuff, like what kind of food he orders and all that. But this also comes with a really neat pamphlet. They do this really annoying fold-out thing where you get the essay all spread out like that. It's not really an essay, it's more like a meditation by an author that was originally written in Norwegian, I believe, is what the little intro said to this essay. But I absolutely love this movie. I think everyone should watch it. It's on Netflix. You can watch it for free if you really want to. But I highly recommend this Criterion edition. This movie is highly rewatchable. I absolutely love it. And, I mean, this movie's great any time of the year, but especially today. I'm thankful that I'm not in a marriage yet. Because this movie makes marriage look like a nightmare. Just like the final Before trilogy movie. That movie makes marriage just look awful. And it's all issues that I see in these movies that I don't ever want to experience in real life. So, this movie's really emotional. I love the cover of this. I don't even think that shot is in the movie. the entire movie is more them looking dour and depressed and angry and hurt and every other adjective that you can think of. This movie's absolutely incredible. It's one of my favorite movies, especially of this genre. I hesitate to call it a romantic movie, but it's more a relationship movie to kind of give a twist of the genre name. But it was really nice to finally crack this open on Valentine's Day and watch it and remind myself to be thankful that I am single and not dealing with the issues that these characters do. That is really it for this review. I could go on all day about this movie, but I don't really want to go into all the plot lines. I talked about maybe half the movie. There's still an hour left in the movie that I didn't even mention. There are a lot of great dialogue scenes. This movie is just perfect in my eyes, which I don't do much. And it's funny because I actually opened a can of Cheerwine, which is our local great soda that we have in North Carolina. And this is one of those movies where I bring in my drink and I put it on the nightstand or whatever, the table end or whatever it's called, or the end table. I don't know. I don't fucking care about furniture. But I put it on there and then like I turned the movie on and I was just sitting there just staring at the TV this entire time. And I never even looked at my soda. And the movie finished and I was like just like breathing because this movie's really intense the entire way through. And it was really funny because I looked over and I saw that this was unopened. So for 2 hours and 15 minutes, I didn't even look at my drink that I had for the movie. So not many movies do that. If that's a testament to how great this movie is. Also, it's directed by Noah Baumbach, who, if you don't know, he's done a lot of these really small-scale movies. My favorite movie by him is Frances Ha, which is I guess a love letter to every college student who doesn't know what they're going to do in the future. That movie is absolute perfect. It's not as great as Marriage Story, of course, but it is up there. I love that movie. The Squid and the Whale, I think it's called. That's the one with Jesse Eisenberg. That one's okay. I don't really like the Jesse Eisenberg character at all, but that's kind of the point. He's just like his theater father, who's a piece of shit, really egotistical, pretends to be super, super smart, plays Pink Floyd at a talent show and is like, yeah, I wrote this song. And he starts playing it and everyone in the crowd is like, woo, Pink Floyd. And he's like, no, this is my song, what are you talking about? But Noah Baumbach is somebody who I don't really seek out because he strikes me as like a director that's very, very artsy. Like, that's his whole point. But I've enjoyed all his movies, so maybe I do need to look him up a bit more. But yeah, that's really all I'm going to say. Happy Valentine's Day again. And thank you all for watching. Please go check this movie out. If anything else, just please go check it out. Thank you all.